Hello and welcome to the special interview series on how to begin, navigate, and sustain sobriety. I'm Wanda Malhotra, lifestyle journalist and CEO of Crunchy Mama Box, a platform promoting conscious living. Today's interview is part of a powerful collaboration with Authority Magazine, a medium publication that delves deep into topics that truly matter. Today, we will have the pleasure of speaking with Frog Greishaw, founder of Frog Juice Kombucha. Introduced to kombucha in the 90s, Frog brewed her own as a hangover cure in 2013 during her bartending days in Chicago. Using her hospitality background, she sourced local ingredients and founded Frog Juice Kombucha in 2014. Her journey to sobriety began, and in 2017, she moved to Knoxville, focusing on East Tennessee. In 2022, she opened Knoxville's first sober bar, the Boocherie, driven by her passion for nourishment and recovery. She aimed for a global impact through community action. Now, join us for an exclusive interview with Frog Greishaw. Before we dive in, our readers would love to get to know you a bit better. Can you tell us a bit about your backstory?
I've kind of been one of those people that's always wanted to do their own business and always been an entrepreneur since I was little. I didn't really see having a kombucha company on my bingo card ever when I was younger. Um, but it really did line out, I think, with my family history of farming and um, really caring about nourishing foods, and then eventually becoming sober through brewing kombucha, which was a wild side effect I didn't expect either. It is truly one of those jobs that's encompassed all of my other jobs moving up to it, or one of those careers that's kind of encompassed all of those things.
Can you share with us the most interesting story from your career? Can you tell us what lessons or takeaways you learned from that?
Absolutely. When I started my company, we were repurposing glass bottles from bars because I worked in the hospitality industry in Chicago, and they weren't recycling glass bottles there. So I was using used liquor bottles, sanitizing them, stripping the labels, all of that, which should have won me a green award, but would most likely have gotten us shut down, actually, which is crazy. Um, but the one of the I didn't really correlate the carbonation to, using corks. And I had these beautiful, whiskey, they were whiskey bottles that had these really lovely corks in them. But the carbonation from the kombucha pushed the corks out, and we had definitely had caused some problems with some guests. So yeah, that was definitely an interesting learning experience.
I love that story. You are very successful. Which three character traits do you think were most instrumental to your success? Can you please share a story or example for each?
Sure thing. Um, Definitely determination, perseverance, and creativity will probably be the most important three characteristics to have if you're going to go into any business. Especially, I think the beverage industry is what I'm realizing. Uh, and I think certainly determination just to even get started. And like I said, repurposing used bottles just because we didn't have the money or seed money to start with new bottles. I mean, it's super expensive to buy a pallet of glass. People don't really factor that in. Um, and just learning with being resourceful with the things that we had. And then I think for perseverance, I would say the most thing that comes to mind is certainly during the pandemic, and we didn't know when everything was going to reopen, and all of our existing accounts that had inventory sitting on shelves, and we've asked them, like, hey, can we take all of this back and just replace it when everything reopens? And we set up an online door-to-door delivery for kombucha, and just replaced everything when everything reopened. But yeah, that was awesome that our customers worked with our B2B clients worked with us, and we didn't have access to all of their social media as far as like all of our customers that they had, but we ended up doing a really great pivot during that time, which was super weird. And then I think as far as creativity, The Boocherie is probably my favorite example of this, but I have a fashion design background, interior design, all kinds of design background as well. And to have a space that we could, not have drunk people running around and trashing or whatever, and then to be able to do like a permanent art installation there and design a space that would be so useful for so many different types of communities has been really awesome. So I think those are my, my best stories on those three.
I love these stories. So creative. And what you did during the pandemic, not all brands could do that. That was amazing how you served your community in such an amazing way. I love that story. Are you working on any exciting projects now? How do you think that might help people?
It may not sound, it might sound like surface exciting, but we're about to launch an e-commerce. We get so many, we are in a few hotels like Blackberry Mountain carries us, and we get so many requests from people that have stayed there while traveling that they want us to ship our product. And it hasn't really been something we've had a lot of success with. We haven't had the right packaging. We've been repurposing all the packaging, just too many man hours, all these things. Um, so it sounds more, it sounds like a capitalistic excitement, but it's actually not. The more produce that we can procure from local farmers and the more contract farming we can set up, the better that actually works locally. So even though this will, again, on the surface looks like, oh, this is just adding another leg to the business, it's actually, creating more opportunities for the things that we want to invest in here and the causes that we want to support as well. And Knoxville's such an amazing community of, serving people that aren't being served in other ways. And that just adds to how we can be helpful in that way.
That's a big deal. I like that project a lot. And getting your product to more people, just amazing. I love that. So, okay, thank you for sharing this project with us. Now let's shift to the main focus of our interview. How would you advise individuals who are contemplating the journey to sobriety but might be hesitant or unsure about taking the first step? Are there key considerations or strategies that can make this initial phase more manageable?
I quit drinking while I was bartending in Chicago, which was, I basically needed a witness relocation program that would have been easier because my whole social network was based on alcohol. And I had a friend at the time, a long time ago who was a bartender also, and he was like, you know what, as adults, we have bars or we have church. Like that's it. You have these two options. And I was like, that's BS. So, like I don't believe that we only have to have these two options. So it's been really great to um, to see see the butchery come to fruition. For one thing. But as far as if there had been something like that when I was first starting, that would have been amazing. But yeah, you're suddenly going to find yourself with lots of time on your hands because you're not recovering from a hangover or getting drunk or I mean that all takes a ton of time, and so it really that is the first thing is to get some hobbies or something that you can do to fill that time so that you're not just slipping back into, oh, I'll just have a drink and then the next thing you know your afternoon is gone. But having community, having a place to go that if all of your regular haunts and your whole routine is triggering, you need to find new places to go. And if that's sitting outside, journaling, I mean, there are so many ways, but you got to get right with yourself inside first and then figure out who your bubble needs to be and then figure out what your setting needs to be.
That's so true. Sobriety often comes with its unique set of challenges. Can you share insights on how individuals can effectively navigate obstacles or triggers that may arise during their journey? Are there specific tools or support systems that you find particularly helpful in overcoming these challenges?
Everybody's journey is different, obviously. And some people really gravitate towards meetings and really find huge success with meetings. I wasn't one of those people. I do different types of community work that I feel is more fulfilling, or I don't know. It's not my jam, but it does work for a lot of people. And I have heard firsthand from so many friends in recovery how that has become just their lifeline. And then it's, and it's fantastic. I love that that is how people find that support and find that relatability to other people's journeys and really get that going for themselves. Um, but certainly, I mean, the triggers are just, it can be anything. I mean, it can be to beer breath, there are so many things that can really, it could be to like walking by and somebody smoking a cigarette that reminds you of being at a bar. I mean, there's so many olfactory triggers that I think are the hardest to deal with because our brains immediately transport us to that place. And if once again, I think that set and setting is really important. You're like, all right, I need to go to yoga or something where I know no one's going to be smoking, or somewhere where like whatever your trigger is, really pay attention to those, journal them. I mean, I can't really stress that kind of attention enough. Just paying attention to it. It's like, what what set me off today? Why am I so bent out of shape? Am I just hungry? Am I just mad that I can't go to this bar and I have total FOMO because all my friends are there? Like, you know, this is different for everybody. And to give yourself some grace and some, you know, cut yourself some slack. Be proud of yourself for making this choice at all.
That's very, very helpful. I like all these tips. So, maintaining sobriety is a long term commitment. From your experience, what are the essential factors that contribute to the sustained success of individuals on this journey? Are there lifestyle adjustments or mindset shifts that prove crucial for the ongoing pursuit of sobriety?
100%. And I know a lot of this is kind of repeating because it's all, I mean, to me, it's a, kind of all the same point. And um, I think the maintenance of it, I've had some friends visit that I mean, I was a horrible addict for a long time. And I've had some friends want to visit and like, I just want to see what this even looks like. Like, how are you living a life sober? I don't even understand. Like, knowing me from my past, and that's been weird to have somebody even say that. Just, I can't even picture this, and it's exciting. I had a buddy who was probably like 6 months into recovery, came through and did a shift at the butchery because he bartended forever, but he's a recovering alcoholic. He can't go back into that field in a place that doesn't have alcohol. There's not a lot of bars that are sober. And he was blown away. He was absolutely blown away. He worked a 12-hour shift and was just could not shut up about it the rest of his visit while he was staying with us in Knoxville. It was just like, I can't even get over the fact that I could be there for 12 hours. I talked to so many people. I made so many drinks, and not a single person was drunk. I didn't want to drink. This was so weird. Like, I didn't even know this was possible. I can use this skill set and not, like, I mean, it blew his mind. So I think that's definitely something that I'm really excited about people because you don't understand that there is life after this when you're in it. And you have no idea how to recreate yourself when you're in it. And it is really tough. And like I said, I wish I had had the witness relocation program. And moving to Tennessee helped, and not that you need to run away from your problems because they do follow you. Um, so if you're ready to make a change, you're like, and my entire life is alcohol here. I need to go find other people. And, I was definitely ingrained in it as far as bartending for 20 years and, 17 of those being in Chicago. I was like, this is not a good scene. I need to go. And like again, not out of escaping it, but more of just like I need to make a change for myself. And seeing all of these people that only remind me of that time in my life. And if that is your trigger, maybe that is the move, that you do need to just remove yourself and go somewhere else and start over.
All very good advice, Frog. Love it. So, here is our main question. Based on research or experience, can you please share your 5 things you need to begin, navigate, and sustain sobriety? Please share a story or an example of each.
First, you have to have the desire to be sober. I mean, you can't do it for somebody else. You can't do it because it breaks your mom's heart. You can't do any of these things. Do it for you. because this is a change you want to make inside of yourself. And once you cross that bridge, you'll notice that you feel so much better and you'll want all your friends to do it too. And they don't want to do it. So you can't, like, it doesn't work that way. It's something you decide for yourself, and then you can move forward with how that goes. The second thing is definitely, as a kind of an extension of this, is getting that right with yourself. So meditating, find your spirituality, whatever it is that you need to do to center that within yourself. Then the third thing is find your bubble, find your people, find your community that you can relate to. You can't relate to people that are falling down drunk all the time for fun. Like, that's not something that you can relate to anymore. You have to acknowledge that, and you have to, um, you know, accept that and move forward. And then beyond finding your intimate, your small bubble, then you need to find your community. And if that's going to meetings and having some like-minded people around, that's your, just kind of grow that extension of this choice outside of yourself. And then lastly is finding those places or hobbies that are not triggering, that are supporting you in this new way of life for yourself, whether that's yoga or working out or whatever. I mean, like, get into taxidermy. I mean, whatever you got to do to, like, keep yourself busy, that is something like very in depth that is going to keep you occupied. Because once again, you are going to have all this time all of a sudden that you're not warming bar stools with your butt, like, you've got to, like, do something with that, or you will go crazy and you'll start ruminating and you'll get all the FOMO. It's like, create your own FOMO, like, have your own thing that nobody else, you know, that just satisfies you. And I think for stories on all of that, I mean, I feel like I've shared a lot as far as just like moving here and relocating, and that really helped. But it's funny, when I quit drinking, my body actually rejected alcohol. I would, like, try to take a cup to my mouth and my hand would go no further. I was like, nope, like, there's a 4-inch gap here. And it was wild. I was like, okay, I'm hearing you. I'm hearing you, universe. I'm hearing that we are at maximum capacity. There is no more alcohol allowed in this building. Understood. And that was really kind of crazy after decades and decades of drinking. And I was a career bartender at the time. Like, that was insane to me. Like, I need to make sure my drinks taste right, all this stuff. Like, no, you are done. You are absolutely done with this. I was like, holy cow. So whatever, again, that looks different for everybody. I don't know anybody else that's had that experience in particular, but um, just like, I I definitely threw myself full tilt into this company, and that was, I think that has its own, entrepreneurial addiction weirdness of transference of, like, well, I'm just going to throw myself into something else that takes all of my time. It's like, yeah, there could be a balance there as well. Certainly not overlooking that or dismissing that. Um, but I think that, yeah, you've got to find the thing that is going to keep you from going back to that well, especially when you realize it's not working.
That's a beautiful story. And I especially love the part of you listening to your body to the point that you couldn't even get to the alcohol because your hand was shaking. I love that, Frog. And I think that all of us have the power to listen to our bodies. We just need to ground ourselves and do it, right? So, community support plays a vital role in the journey to sobriety. How can individuals find and engage with supportive communities or resources that align with their specific needs and goals? Are there any online platforms, local groups, or initiatives that you recommend for fostering a sense of connection and understanding during this process? You already addressed that, but is there anything else that you would like to include? Any other platforms?
Absolutely. We have a meeting at the Boocherie that's a weekly meeting, and the group is called Sober in Knoxville, and the meeting is called Emotional Sobriety, and it's literally a conversation about how do I feel in this new direction right now. That's it. There's no surrendering to anything. It's literally just a conversation, and that meeting, I've heard the ripple effect from that and seeing the ripple effect of that. And that group is just, it's a really safe place to be vulnerable. I mean, there are tears, there are whatever. I mean, it's all the things and hugs, and it's a beautiful group. And I'm really grateful and honored that we get to host that. There's another group that started at the Boocherie, actually. There's a nationwide circuit, but the Knoxville branch started at our sober bar, and it's called Knox YPAA, which is Young People's AA. And it's a little less denominational, a little less structured than your traditional AA meetings, which I think a lot of people in the South have some religious stigma that maybe has even caused some of their drinking problems, like some of that shame and guilt that's associated with some of that. And that group actually outgrew the Butchery in like a couple months, which is fantastic. So now they meet in Fourth and Gill once a week, and it's just rolling super strong. I know tons of people that go to it that get so much out of it, really enjoy that. And there's another one called Dharma Group, which meets in the Mechanicsville neighborhood of Knoxville, and they meet multiple times a week at a yoga studio there. And I can't remember the details. I can send you links though. And that is a non-denominational meeting as well. AA you can find everywhere. There's also a Sober Pride group in Knoxville, which is more for LGBTQ community, which talk about another group that absolutely has really, you know, relied heavily on alcohol, as there's like a lot of uncomfortable stigma and stuff with coming out and that kind of stuff. So there's amazing resources here. And a lot of those meetings, I know, like definitely during last week's snowstorm, for instance, we're all doing online versions of the thing, and very helpful. There are so many resources in these groups, and you can find a lot of them on Facebook as well, which is great. But there are tons and tons of AA meetings here. I've heard kind of mixed reviews from friends that go to meetings that, depending on what you're recovering from, it's not always the most accepting vibe. So those three that I listed first, I know are just hands down, come on in. We got a hug for you. We don't care what you're dealing with. We love you. Congratulations. Thank you for doing this for yourself. Thank you for showing up for yourself. I mean, it's just a really beautiful, beautiful groups, and very inclusive.
That's beautiful. So, what is the best way for our readers to continue to follow your work online?
The middle of about to do a really great website overhaul, but it'll be the same address, but it's www.frogjuicekombucha.com. And on the top of the screen, there are different tabs for different things that we are up to. It's a super easy, navigable website. We don't want anybody to have problems navigating it, so we've made it super basic.
Wonderful. This was very meaningful. Thank you so much. We wish you only continued success on your great work, Frog.
Thank you so much, Wanda. I really appreciate you have invited me to be a part of this. And thank you, Authority Magazine, for greenlighting this feature. This is fantastic.